I know what hurts you the most when you play FC26. You concede easy counterattack goals and you don't know how to stop the opponent. Today is the day this ends, and I will show you exactly what you need to do to stop the counterattacks. Just a quick reminder, this is the day 8 of our advanced calendar, and 2 of you receive the chance to get how to defend an FC26 course for free if you can find the code that is hidden in this video. 2 of you can find it and redeem it in the link in the description below. And if you're interested in other premium knowledge about FC26 and improve your gameplay, make sure to check out our Christmas offer on the Season Pass, which includes over 10 courses and 100 video tutorials throughout the entire season on the Guide Plus. If you buy the Season Pass now, which unlocks the entire content, you don't only get a personal discount, but you will be also able to gift the Season Pass to a fellow FC player as a Christmas gift. Check the links in the description. The biggest problem you are going to have while defending a counterattack is your aggressiveness. As in this case, you can see we are either outnumbered or we are even in the numbers if we take a look at the attackers and the defenders. And the issue is that your defenders are trying to get back from their own attack, and they most likely are going to be out-positioned. That means the opponent might have the upper hand in terms of position, and if you go aggressively with your center back out like this, if you use your aggressiveness, then you might fail. And this means you don't need to go out like this. You need to hold yourself. You don't need to be aggressive as in this position, and you need to contain the area. This whole area needs to be defended, and if you push out with the defender like this, then you are going to fail. This is what happens. You push out with your defender aggressively, and then you give up on the space on the side, and then the opponent can actually go around like here, and then they will go towards the goal. This is what happens when you go so aggressive against those counterattacks. The opponent reaches their goal and they will most likely score the goal like this. So here again, we have the ball, we are trying to attack, and then we lose the ball and the opponent starts to counterattack. And the most dangerous thing you can do is to put this defender out of his position. You see, the defender was supposed to cover over here, and then we put him out of his position, and then the opponent has a runner in behind the defensive line. If you take out the defender so aggressively, then you will destroy your own defensive shape. This is what happens. We take him out, and then the opponent passes the ball straight towards there. Then instead of 2 defenders, you have only 1 center back. So they will push forward, and then you see we take another defender out of his position, and then we try to go forward again, but then they have another runner. So if you consistently bring out players like this, then you are going to create spaces for the opponent, and at the end, they will score the goal. The only thing you have to do in the transition is to run back with your defender. If you don't do so, you are going to fail. Here, as you can see, the opponent has a massive space ahead of him, and if I go directly for him, I might actually miss the chance to block anything. Remember, in those cases, your goal is to gain as much as time as possible, because if you don't do so, if you go for the gambling tackle or if you go for the aggressiveness, then you might be failing with a great chance. So what I do here, instead of running directly towards the opponent, I also run back towards the space that he's intending to go. So as you can already see from the left stick input, like here, we are running back with our defender, and our only goal is to gain some time, win some time for the defenders who are actually heading back. As you can see, we have 4 defenders who are running back in the space, and the only thing I want here is to remain in front of the opponent. So what I do here, I run with him, I remain in front of him, and I give him a safe distance. And once I get myself in between the player, or let's say the ball, and the goalkeeper, I remain in between with the jockey button. I stop running. Here in a second, I will stop running. And then I will just try to block off the chance, because if I block the chance and the opponent doesn't have anyone to pass to, then my second player will head back. And this is when the opponent is forced to go for a shot, and then they will fail. So this is how you stop the speed of the counterattack, and this is the only thing you have to do with the defenders. So here, when I lose the ball in a bad situation, again, I do the same thing. What I do here is to take my center back, and I will go back, because now we have 2 players to deal with. And I will also need to take a look at my other center back who is running back. So this is far more dangerous than the first position. And what I do here is very important. I will take my center back towards the back, and I will take a look at this run. I will also watch this run as well. But what I mainly want to do here is to put some pressure on this player, because we have the second man pressure over this guy who can actually get close to the current dribbler. That is very important. And as you can see, we are just moving ourselves. Let's get back a bit. We are moving ourselves a bit towards here so that we eliminate the chance if the player passes the ball over here. So if they pass the ball, we will get Van Dijk over the top. And then what I still do here, you see, just because we're currently holding on to the second man pressure, my player over here is getting closed. So just because I secured the top side, I can switch over this player and then we can make our defensive move towards Griezmann. So what I do here is that I switch with the L1 button, since the second man pressure button also allows him to switch with L1 over there. And then we put manual pressure on the dribbler. So as you can see, we had a 1 versus 2, and now we're covering 1 and the 2. Both players with a very good intention, even though we were in a very bad spot or situation, and then we can actually get the ball back from the opponent without any problems. But it's not only about running back with the defenders, but also you can use other players as well, such as midfielders or even the attackers. So as you can see here, I lost the ball in a situation where the opponent has a massive chance to go out or a counterattack. And I am already running with my, I think that's the winger. We are already heading back towards our own half. And if I do so many switches out there, then I won't be able to recover. So if I, for example, take my center back over here and try to run, then I won't be able to catch, because the attackers are most likely faster than the defenders. So here I go for the straight run with my winger, and that means she has the momentum, and I will try to cover the space with her. So running back with the midfielders or running back with the attackers are very important. As long as you have the same line, let's say this is the line of the attacker, this is the level of the attacker, and this is the level of your player, currently selected player. As long as you're close to them, you can still run back. For example, if they pass the ball forward, then you might have to switch. But as long as you're close in terms of levels, then you are able to, or you're allowed to run back with your players. So we are running back here, we're trying to catch here, and once I see that they slow, then I change my approach, and instead of chasing them, you see we're trying to get back towards the right side, our right side in the defense, and we are running there because there is the spot there, and then we need to fill the gap. So I still run there without taking a touch on the attacker. We're not going for the tackle. And what I see here is that they will have a chance to trigger a run. And what I need to do here without switching is to run back here and then cover the space in the transition. So what I do here, I run back, I follow the run, and then I see the opportunity that they have a passing triangle over here. And this is why I will actually try to cover there. You see my left stick input. We're trying to go back as much as possible, covering many angles. And then once they pass the ball, we are aware of the pass that will come next over here. And then we are trying to cut off it. And then in the meanwhile, you can use a second man pressure. But the main point is, when the right wing back is not there, you have to cover it manually. So we do it with the winger, and then we will receive the ball back. So let's talk about the levels. Again, you see, I am trying to get back as much as possible, again, with my central midfielder over here, but she is not on the same level that we talked about. So this is the level of my central midfielder, and this is the level of the attacker, let's say over here. So if they pass the ball forward, or if they just dribble, then I won't be able to catch them, or I won't be able to recover in the defense against the counterattack. So you see, that is why I switch to my wing back. And once they pass the ball towards the center, that I know, okay, now instead of the big distance or the long distance we had with the levels, now I have this player over here against the attacker over here. And then she's static and my player is on the move. That means if I take my player over here and then run back with her, I won't have to select my defense, and I won't have to just put them out or put some pressure or run back with them. So that means if I take this player with my midfielder and if I get her back, then I will have +1 defender. I will have 5 players to defend with instead of 4. And just because the levels are close, I am allowed to do it. So what I do here is to switch to her in a second. I'm trying to find her with the correct player switching. And once I switch, just because I'm close, I am trying to get in between. So we are not forcing any player switches towards the back. We're just trying to cut off the player with the midfielder. So we get in front of her, and then we try to just stand with the jockey. And then you see, we already have prevented the counterattack. We are already in a good spot with 6 players, or let's count him as well, with 7 players in the back, and we are settled in the defense. Just because they were fast, that doesn't mean they're going to execute the counterattack. And one more thing is, just because you don't win the ball, that doesn't mean you haven't prevented the counterattack. And we slowed them down. They had to turn back, and then we got settled in the defense. And now you see they don't have a chance to some extra pressure with the counterattack. And eventually, just because we stood on the player, we were allowed to get the ball. So that is as easy as possible. You just have to run back with your midfielders, with your attackers as well, if you have the opportunity. The biggest question, which player do I control when the counterattack is happening? So in this time, you need to understand the space that the opponent has and their intention, because if you understand the intention, then you can stop anything. In that case, they have the ball over the side, a bit more close to center, and then they will have the space over here. What I want to do here is to take my wing back and then put some pressure, or at least get in front of him. You see, we already have the left stick towards here. That means I want to get in front of him without giving them too much space. But also, they will have the opportunity to pass the ball over here. Within the next steps, within the couple steps, we are going to have to make a decision. Do I stick on this wing back, or do I switch to my center back? Whichever the possibility is more dangerous. So what I do here is to see that they will have the passing option, and this is why I switch to my center back, because central positions are much more dangerous than the side positions. And I always approach the position like this. When I face a counterattack, I always cover the center, because if they pass the ball towards the center, then it's far more dangerous than the sideways. So I switch for a potential pass over here, and then I will try to remain with the jockey button in my own position in case a pass comes through. So what happens here, you see, we are trying to remain in between the passing lane. So this is the passing lane, and they're running over here. And what I do here is to use the fast jockey over there. And in the meanwhile, I'm trying to remain as close as possible to the opponent, because if they get a touch on the ball, then I can actually get a physical touch on them and I can retrieve the ball. So most important thing when defending the through balls is to also stay very close to the receiver. And in the meanwhile, I'm also using the second man pressure to apply some pressure. That is not important as much as this one, but what I do here is to get close, use fast jockey, and you see we already countered the move and we already won the ball with the interception. You need to be really decisive with your movements, because if you fail and if you doubt yourself, then the position is almost over before you can understand what's going on. So here, let's say this is a 2 versus 2 position. I don't count the wing backs over there, because the position is going to remain in the center. And this is when you need to decide between those 2 center backs. Do I control this one or do I control this one? So you have to watch the position and you have to understand the ball's direction. Once the ball is heading towards the left striker, then I will have to switch to my right center back. So what I do here, I switch, and right when you switch, you have to be really careful that you don't do a gambling move like this, because you see, instead of remaining over here, I make a move towards there with my left stick and also the fast jockey. You can't gamble your position out of this way, because if you gamble, then you will give away space. So I break the first rule. I have told you guys, I went for an aggressive move, and then I moved my player out of his position. So what happens next is important. You have to accept the fact that you have done a mistake, and then instantly you have to see the opportunity. So here is the runner, and then the dribbler is over there, and then most likely they are going to plan something like triggering a run over here, and then they will pass the ball towards there. So I have to instantly switch to my other center back, which I have done again with the right analog stick switching over here. And then once I understand the position, you see I track the direction of the run of the second attacker, because if I don't do so, if I just run back like this, they will have space towards the lower side, and we don't want that. So you watch the run of the runner in behind the defensive line, the direction, and then once you do it, you will follow them. You see, we are tracking them, we are following them towards there, and in the meanwhile, I am applying the second man pressure over here, which may allow me to get close, but then you also give away space over here. That is up to you, but most likely, like if you have to prioritize the sides instead of the wing, prioritize the center, and this is how you become successful with defending with the counterattacks. So here you see the pass will come through. We are still trying to get in front of him. We are giving her some space, but in the meanwhile, we are remaining in front of him. Just because I'm ahead of her, you see, if she runs, then she will collide with me. And if the pass comes through, we are already there. So what happens? They will pass the ball, and within the first touch, we will retrieve the ball. This is how you switch to the right player, and this is how you make the defensive move with the counterattack. Talking about covering multiple opportunities, you have to position yourself always in that mentality, because the counterattacks will allow the opponent to have multiple options, and since you're not settled back in the defense, they will always have 2 or even more opportunities. That means you have to position yourself right in between so that you can control the run and you can also control the pass. As long as the defense is not settled, then you will have to apply this, cover multiple opportunities and remain safe. So what I do here is to jockey and then remain in between both opportunities. When the pass threat becomes much more dangerous, then I will try to cover the passing option. But then when the threat is over, you see the opponent intended to pass the ball towards the player who is running back or back in the defensive line, and then they weren't able to pass the ball there. So that means the threat is gone, and then they will look for another opportunity. And here we are still covering the passing lane in the transition, and that seems to be far from over. But then another passing lane opens up, and this means we will need to change our approach, and we will need to switch to the center towards our center back. So what happens here? The opponent passes the ball, and I switch first to my center back here, and then I am also aware of the situation. Like there are 2 opportunities. Either they will pass the ball over here, they can turn around, they can shoot, or they will pass the ball over here with the transition speed. But what I do here is very important. When I position myself correctly over there, I will switch from this player to this player so that I can actually cover off the pass in advance. But you have to position your player, the first center back, in the right way so that you can do it, so that you can apply the second man pressure and you will have the chance to cover both opportunities. So here they will receive the ball and they will turn around over here, which indicates they are not trying to pass the ball towards the lower side, and they will have the intention of passing the ball right towards the upper side or just make a move towards here to shoot. So what I do here, I switch towards the upper player, the center back, and I try to cover. And in the meanwhile, I'm using the second man pressure since I was able to position himself very well. So again, you see, we get a move towards there. Then I realize that they're turning back, and then I switch back to the other players to cover off here. You see active switching without panicking. That is really important. And at the end, the opponent is out of options because this passing lane is being covered. This passing lane is being covered. I am already there with 2 players. This player is offside. And then the only thing they can do is to pass the ball towards the side. And then if they pass the ball towards the side, you have the opportunity to get there as soon as possible because you've already selected the wing back. But then they are trapped within their counterattack, and once they pass the ball in the center, then with the correct player switching, you will get the ball. So multiple player switches, multiple opportunities denied, and we receive the ball back. Another opportunity here the opponent has some time and space. You see, they're running with a fast player, and the only thing you gotta do is to track their run. But in the meanwhile, you will also have to be aware of the situation that they have a runner from the back. That means once you secure the first opportunity, then you have to get back towards another player and then cover the center. This is what's most important while defending the counterattacks. Not only seeing one option, but also seeing the plan B of the opponent. So here, the opponent runs forward, and what I do here is that I see that they commit to their run with the step, and then they just get the ball out of their feet. And in the meanwhile, I will switch to my other center back because he's the only one who can actually prevent this pass from happening if I move him correctly. And in the meanwhile, again, I'm using the second man pressure to be able to cover off the run. If I have to, I can switch with L1 over here, and this is when I can still control the player over there. But manually covering this side is going to help me cover multiple opportunities at the same time. So what I do here, you see, I just simply control him in case this pass happens. And if that happens, I will just slightly move forward or try to block him with my defensive and with my jockey. So what happens here, they will pass the ball and I am already there. You see, they will have a chance to go for a shot over here or maybe over here, but I am already there. And that means just because I moved my player in the right time to the right space, then I will be able to block that shot. And finally, this position, when you have to switch to the right player, you see, you have to understand the intention and you have to read the position correctly. In that case, we had this player covering the center. We're doing fine. We're just going back to understand what they're doing, and they will have two runners in behind the defensive line. So you have to cover both of them and you have to understand which player they will actually go for. So what I do here is to first cover this passing lane, at least get a bit closer to this one because the opponent was actually having the idea of going towards there, but then they switch their intention and then they will trigger another run. So if you see that, if you understand that there is no point of remaining on the same player, the only thing you have to do here is to either use the L1 switch or the right analog stick switching to be able to get this player. Because you see, if you don't get this player and remain here, you already covered this one. But then the opponent has already triggered the run and your AI player might not cooperate with the runner in behind the defensive line. So this is why I switched to my left center back, and then this is why I track the run. And once I get towards him, just because I moved him back at the right time, I was able to get a physical contact and win the ball over in the counterattack. You might also need to use other mechanics like sliding tackles to be able to prevent chances like this. So I kinda advise you to click the video on the screen right now to watch my colleague's video about it, which could be brutally important. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Until next time, take care and peace.